before we start, because I don't think it's fair to just spring this onto you at minute 15. Near the end of this video, I get myself trapped on a beach between a 200-foot cliff and a tide that's coming in faster than I'd planned for, with no way back the way I came. And the way I get out of it is by climbing up that cliff. No gear, no ropes. Backpack still on. And this bit's true, not for drama. A chunk of it goes into the sea under my feet while I'm still on it. Spoiler, since I know some of them skip to the comments first. I survive. Obviously, I'm narrating this. But I wanted to say up front rather than pretend the rest of the walk is the whole story. Welcome back, my friends, to the Beastologist Walks. I'm not a hiker, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I saw someone on the news saying you could walk around the edge of Britain, and I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I've not carefully calculated my route. My plan was to walk about 10 miles, stop, and then figure out what to do next. It's just pure dumb luck that there's something there. That's the whole editorial process here, by the way. If you're hoping for deep local knowledge, I'm going to keep disappointing you at a very consistent rate. So Withernsea is behind us. If you've seen the last episode, you'll know it's one of those towns around here that's actually fought back against the sea properly. Concrete seawall, rock armour, the whole 9 yards. Which means the second you walk north out of it, off the defended bit, the coast just stops pretending to be under control. The cliffs pick up almost straight away, not dramatic ones, nothing like Dover. These are the Holderness cliffs, which are made of glacial clay, basically the leftover mush from the last ice age, never properly turned to rock, just sort of compacted and left there. And they are, and I want to stress this as a real fact, and not me be dramatic for the camera, the fastest-eroding coastline in Europe. There's a whole graveyard of villages under the sea between here and Bridlington that nobody talks about, because they're not there anymore, which is, when you think about it, a very efficient way to be forgotten. A village called Aldbrough, just north of Withernsea, had a church and everything, medieval, been there for centuries, and by 1816 the whole thing had just gone into the sea. Not evacuated, not demolished, it just wasn't there anymore. There's a memorial back in Withernsea for it, and its sister village, 2 stone churches carved into the prom, because the real ones aren't available for comment. Right, so structurally, today is going to be a lot of this, because that's what today actually was. I'm not going to pretend something happened if it didn't. It's a beach. It's long, it's flat, the tide's out, which means we've got a good firm strip of sand to walk on instead of a shingle, which my ankles are extremely grateful for after last time. We pass Blackstone first, which from the beach is basically a caravan site and a lot of very determined looking sea defence boulders. Then Tunstall, and then a village called Hillston. Grimston next, East Newton after that. I'll be honest with you, from the beach, these villages mostly presented a slightly different angle of the same field. I'm not going to lie to you about that, for content purposes. This is a quiet stretch. I've started watching another YouTube channel called Timothy's Travels, where a man and a woman, sorry, I don't know their names, do a great job documenting the coastline and looking at the erosion. I think Timothy is the name of the drone. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. What I will say for this stretch is, the cliffs themselves are actually kind of incredible once you stop treating them as background. They're not one solid thing. If you look side on at a fresh collapse, and there's always fresh collapses, that's the whole point of this coastline. You can see it's layered. Different bands of clay laid down at different points during the Ice Age, some with sand and gravel mixed through, some with actual boulders sitting in them that got dragged here by glaciers from somewhere else entirely. Geologists call those erratics, which is a great word, and I'm stealing it for personal use. And because the sea's constantly chewing through fresh material instead of the same old stuff, things fall out. Genuinely odd things. People have been picking up animite and other fossil fragments out of these cliffs and off this beach for as long as people have been walking it. There was a Yorkshire Geological Society survey doing exactly that a century ago, cataloguing fossils along how much the coast had vanished since the last visit, which is a very bleak combination of models. I had a poke around at the base of one collapse section, Not going near the top. Don't worry, Mum, if you're watching this. I didn't find anything you'd put in a museum, but there were a couple of fragments of clay that were very clearly once a shell, now a rock, which is close enough for me. Standard warning, because I feel bad for not saying it. Don't get near the cliff edge or the cliff base here. This clay falls without much warning. It gets waterlogged, it slumps, and sometimes it just goes as a straight vertical drop. People genuinely lose land, roads and houses due to this coast. Not metaphorically, actually within the memory. We're keeping our distance, and you should too. Here's one I genuinely didn't expect to find while researching this walk. Apparently, somewhere under the sand out there, there's a forest. Not a metaphor, an actual forest. Oak, alder, willow, that kind of thing, that grew here thousands of years ago, back when sea levels were lower, and this whole stretch was dry land and coastline. As the sea rose, it didn't rip the forest away, it buried it in peat and mud, and then just sort of sat on top of it for the next 1,000 years. Locals around Withernsea apparently used to call one of the exposed patches Noah's Wood. And every so often, usually after a big storm strips the sand back, or in a proper spring tide, bits of it comes back up. Blackened stones, roots, actual tree branches poking out of the beach, like the ground's decided to cough something up. There's a written account from the 1800s of exactly that happening near here. Someone walking out onto the exposed peat and finding acorns and hazelnuts and tree bark just sitting there, thousands of years old, like the forest floor had been on pause the whole time. The patches are marked on old maps as the submarine forest, right along this bit of coast. Withernsea, Sandler, off Tunstall. We didn't get lucky enough to catch it exposed here. The sand's sitting right over the top of it, but it's a genuinely strange thing to know is down there while you're just walking along what looks like an ordinary beach. At this point in the walk, it's just miles, feet, sand, the occasional groin to climb over, camera dad narrating bird species. I can't verify, and frankly I don't trust. It's not a bad way to spend an afternoon. And then, with a few miles left, I nearly walk into a seal. Genuinely almost tripped over it. It's black, brown and grey, all mottled together in these blotchy spots, lying on wet sand that's basically the same colours, in the same arrangement, and it just vanishes into a beach. I was looking at my feet, not the horizon, and there was suddenly a seal where I was about to put my next steps. Once you actually see it, you can't unsee it, but for about 2 seconds it was just textured sand. And then it was an animal the size of a large dog looking extremely unimpressed with me. This is a harbour seal by the markings. Smaller and more dog-like in the face than a grey seal. Spottier coat, and the Yorkshire coast is actually a proper spot for them. There are whole outsiders not far from here where they come up in real numbers. We stopped. Obviously we stopped. You don't nearly step on a seal on an empty beach and just keep on because we've got a schedule. It didn't move much. Lifted its head once, had a look at us, decided we weren't interested enough to bother with, and went back to being a very large, very grey, extremely unbothered lump on the sand, which, respect honestly, that's a better relationship with productivity than I have. We gave it a wide berth, kept low, kept quiet, and just walked further. You're not meant to get close to a hold-out seal. They're resting, not stranded, and getting too near stresses them out and can make them bolt back into the sea when they don't need to. So I sat here for an hour and just quietly watched. So Aldbrough. This is the bit from the start of the video. The plan, such as it was to walk up onto the beach here, find wherever the path off the sand was, and head inland to end the episode. That was the plan. The problem is, I got the timings wrong. Genuinely just got them wrong. I was watching the cliffs, watching the seal, poking around for fossils, and stopped watching the sea. And by the time I looked up properly at the beach behind us, it had gone. Not getting narrower, gone. And ahead of us, the path off the sand marked on the map turned out to be, generously, a suggestion. A collapsed bit of road hanging in mid-air about 200 feet up. So that's the actual situation. Cliff in front, sea behind, no way back the way we came, and the water's still coming in. I'm not being dramatic when I say there wasn't a third option. It was up, or it was wait to see how high the tide gets, and I did not like the second one. I want to be really clear, because I know how this looks on camera. I've never done anything like this before. Not a wall, not a climbing centre, nothing. This is not a skill I have. No ropes, because we don't have any. Because nobody planned for this. Because nobody plans for anything on this walk. Bags still on, fully loaded, because there wasn't time to be precious about it. I'm going to climb the 200-foot cliff with no ropes or equipment and my backpack on my back. My phone is still on the DJI gimbal and I need both hands, so you're not going to see the climb properly. You will see a bit when camera dad gets to the top. Testing every handhold before I trust it, because this clay lets go without warning. That's been the whole theme of this episode, and now it's personal. Small stuff first. Roots, clumps of grass where the ground's held together enough to bother growing something. And then, a chunk of ledge under my foot just goes. No warning, no cracking sound. It's just there, then it's not. Then I hear it hit the beach a long way before me. Before I've even finished the walk, don't look down. I'm not going to pretend that wasn't the worst few seconds of the entire walk. Weight's already shifted onto my hands. I'm not falling with it, but that's the closest this channel's ever been to looking a different kind of video. After that, I stopped trying to move quickly. Every foothold gets weighed before it gets trusted, properly this time, not just saying it for the camera. Bags dragging at my shoulders in every reach, camera dad's below, and, to his enormous credit, has stopped narrating bird species and gone completely, usefully silent, which somehow says more than commentary would have. And, top, that's the top. Grass, a field, an actual flat horizontal surface that isn't trying to kill me. I sat down for a lot longer than a second if I'm honest with you. So that's 10 miles, Withernsea to Aldbrough, a church that isn't there anymore, a forest that's still down there somewhere under the sea, a sea line nearly stood on, an unplanned, genuinely unsafe 200-foot climb up a crumbling clay cliff, with the tide at my heels, because I stopped paying attention to the one thing on this walk you're not allowed to stop paying attention to.